everyone, how's it going? I thought that today I would hit you with a little discussion video. And it's a discussion video that I have wanted to do for a very long time. And the video is about Goodreads. And what I want to talk about is what I like about Goodreads. Because I feel like in the bookish community at large, Goodreads gets a lot of hate. And I've always had a bit of a hard time seeing why. I've heard a lot of gripes with Goodreads, and some of them seem legitimate, others strike me as nitpicky, and I get that maybe the Goodreads website could use a little bit of improving, but on the whole, I have found it to be a really good resource, a really good way to keep track of my reading, and that's why I continue to use it, and to like using it, and to visit it quite a lot throughout my week, every week. And so, really, I just wanted to make a video talking about why I like Goodreads, just to offer a little bit of a counterweight to all of the criticism of it that I see in a lot of places. So this is all, in good, cordial fun. I'm certain that people will sing out in the comments with very legitimate criticisms, but I just wanted to offer my own contrarian opinion that Goodreads is a good website. And so I wanted to talk about what I like about it. So, what do I like about it? Well, first off, it is a really great place to keep track of what you're reading and what you have read. I love that you can go into Goodreads and find not only what you read, but how many times you read it, and the exact dates on which you read it, right? Because Goodreads keeps that information. I don't know if it always has, but it does now. And Goodreads used to not mark rereads very well, but now it does, so that's an improvement. And I love having that very precise log of what you read and when you read it. And I think it works a lot better than just keeping a notebook, and maybe it doesn't quite work as well as an Excel spreadsheet, but I think it works better than a pencil and paper because you can easily search through things. You can use the search function to search for a book to see when you've read it and how many times you've read it. And a big point of criticism from a lot of people is that search function. And I find that people just need to be a little bit patient with the search function. I mean, I get that when you search for a book in Goodreads, if you make a typo in the title or type the title in with the word by and then the author's name, sometimes it can be buggy and give you no results or something. But I always find that if you just play around with it a little bit for a few seconds, you'll get results. You'll get the results you want. So I really don't think the search function is all that bad if you're going there to look for a specific book. But basically, I love Goodreads as a place to track what I'm reading and what I have read. And in particular, if you have a Goodreads goal set, then you can easily go and just look at all the books you've read in the year so far. And that's my favorite part of it. I love getting that macroscopic view of what I've read over the year, which is much easier than trying to keep track of it in my head or to write it down. Because again, you can just grab your phone, which we all have with us nowadays, and you can just look at it. Another part of Goodreads that I really like is how you can keep track of what your friends are reading. You can sort of look at what people are reading, when they started, what progress they've made. You can see their rating, if they give star ratings. You can see their review, if they've written a review, and I really love that. I really love seeing what my friends are reading, if they're on Goodreads. And I love that lightly social aspect of it. And what's fun about it, too, is you can mark books that you've just discovered on Goodreads, right? If you're in a used bookstore and you come across a book that you don't want to read, don't want to buy yet, but it's an obscure book and you want to, mark it and have a place to record it, Goodreads is a great place to do that. Again, I don't think that a notebook would be that easy for that purpose because it would be hard to search through. You would have to page through a whole notebook to find it, whereas in Goodreads you can just look through your list or search for it. And also, an Excel spreadsheet wouldn't exactly work, because if you're in a bookstore, are you really going to pull out a laptop and add it to an Excel spreadsheet? I don't think so. You can also create reading lists. Basically, you can create a new shelf that's labeled as something and add a bunch of books that pertain to that list. You know, let's say that you have suddenly gotten very interested in Civil War history. Well, you can create a Goodreads shelf with all the Civil War related books that you want to read, and you have kind of a reading list, and you have it logged somewhere permanently, right? And you can recommend books to people, which I think is really cool that Goodreads has that feature where you can just reach out to a friend and just say, you would probably really like this book. And I think that that's one of the coolest features on Goodreads. And of course you can do that just by messaging them too, but Goodreads is a good place to do that, because then they can just add it right away, right there on Goodreads. One of the only minor criticisms that I personally have of Goodreads is that it doesn't send you a notification if you get a comment on an update or a post. And so sometimes I've gotten comments from people on updates and not known about it for like a week or even longer. And that's a little bit frustrating, but honestly, I don't think many of us comment on each other's posts that often. I mean, I don't comment on other people's posts that often, and people don't comment on my posts very often. I just like seeing what people are reading and how much progress they've made. So I don't have much use for the comment function anyway. And so I'm not too hung up on that aspect of it. And one criticism of Goodreads that I've seen that probably I have the most sympathy with is the fact that you can't keep track, you can't necessarily specify what edition or translation of a book that you are reading or are reviewing. And I get that, but I think you can also kind of specify it in your review if you write one. I think that's a relatively simple thing to do. A lot of the criticisms of Goodreads that I see are largely people pointing out ways in which it could be improved, not necessarily ways in which it's bad. And I think those two ideas get confused, you know, thinking about what could be improved versus what's bad about it. I think there's very little about Goodreads that's actually bad. There are ways in which it could be improved, but I think those ways would all just be frosting on the cake. I think the cake itself is already there. I think Goodreads is already a good website. I like using it and will continue to use it. And so, anyway, those are just some thoughts on why I like Goodreads. I'd be curious to hear from anyone who also likes Goodreads. From anyone who doesn't like Goodreads, if you want to refute anything I've said, let's have a conversation about that. But yeah, I just wanted to put a little video out there, kind of counterbalancing all of the gripes on Goodreads that I've seen. So there you have it. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Have a good day, and I will talk to you all later.